every mom can earn through word-of-mouth marketing campaigns in association with our brand partners. Our key assets are our content creators, micro-influencers, and the mom community. More than 200 brands have leveraged these assets through innovative solutions that we believe represent the future of marketing. Mob Espresso, committed to empowering and inspiring women every day.
Hello everyone, this is Riya Pahuja from Economic Times CIO, and I welcome you all to the webinar Scaling with Google Cloud, Innovate and Grow. The digital space is huge and offers many opportunities for everyone. For instance, think about mothers. They play a myriad of roles handling multiple interpersonal relationships and bringing a ton of experience that can be valuable to many. Have you ever imagined the cloud become a significant aid to their empowerment? Cloud-powered, technology-driven infrastructure today provides mothers a safe, distinguished, and engaging environment to connect, collaborate, and empower each other on a grand scale. Just like Mob Espresso made this scenario possible by partnering with Sears and leveraging Google Cloud technologies, more and more enterprises are finding remarkable benefits by deploying their workouts on the cloud. Furthermore, they are achieving growth at a scale without compromising the security of their digital assets. Google Cloud's range of solutions, be it Kubernetes Engine, cloud load balancing, cloud CDN, or some other services, have the power to deliver secure, tailored benefits to enterprises. The result? A massive 4 times business growth in the lieu of just 2 times cloud cost investment. So, what will be your firm's optimal cloud setup? How can you maximize your firm's growth at a scale while ensuring security? These are the questions that experts in today's sessions will be answering and will help you navigate the sprangly explored world of the cloud and drive innovations as Mob Espresso did. And for this very topical discussion, we have with us 3 eminent speakers from the industry. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Manisha Sharma Kohli, Head of Customer Engineering, India and Sub-Region Google Cloud, Mr. Asif Mohammed, CTO and co-founder Mob Espresso, Mr. Ankit Sinha, Vice President, Sears. A very warm welcome, dear speakers. How are you?
Thank you, Riya. Very well. And thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for having us here. It's always a pleasure to be in the company of the industry stalwarts like Ankit and Asif, who've been adding tremendous value to the businesses and society in general by leveraging the power of technology.
Before we go forward, I just have one announcement for our attendees. Dear attendees, we will be addressing your questions in the end. So please do drop in your questions through the registration page. There is an option that asks you to submit your questions. Please do submit your questions and we will be addressing them in the end. Without any further ado, over to you, Manisha. Please take this forward.
Thank you so much, Priya. So I think it's very encouraging to see how India is turning out to be a fertile ground for innovation and how companies like Mob Espresso are coming up with solutions which couldn't be imagined a few years back, right? So Asif, personally, I'm a big fan and a happy user of Mob Espresso. And I have to admit that I really love being part of the safe environment you've created for the moms like me. So maybe my first question to you, Asif, would be like, you are now an 11-year-old company, right? And I think you've come a long way. So for our viewers, for our listeners today, could you share your journey over these last 11 years? And how did you really become the best platform of choice for mothers in the country?
And Asif, you'll have to unmute yourself before you speak.
Sorry, yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Manisha. Yes, 11 long years. We actually started off in an avatar which was very different. When we actually launched in 2010, we were a platform that was called My City for Kids at that point in time. We've always, Vishal, Prashant and me, we are 3 co-founders of the venture. And we've always believed in the demographic dividend that this country had. And still continues to have, actually, in that sense. And we always wanted to do something around, providing or engaging with the married woman or the woman of the house, not really married, but the woman of the house, because we found a tremendous potential, out there, given the fact that a lot of the advertising dollars are going right behind that particular audience. So after cricket in this country, the largest amount of advertising spend actually is chasing the woman of the house, right? So that was the premise on which we, originally when we started this platform called My City for Kids, which was it was a hyper local discovery platform for kids service providers. So from anything to do with play schools, hobby classes, sports classes for your child, you could come out there and find it, in your locality. That's how we started, and we scaled to around 9 cities, covering 9 different cities in India. And in around 2015, we reached this place where we had to make a call in the sense that this as an opportunity for people to come and search for things to do with their children. The use case was like once in 2 months, or and best case scenario possibly once in a month. But beyond that, the use case did not exist. And what we did at that point in time was we opened up the platform for moms to be able to come in and start sharing their experiences with the larger community. The thing that we had, the insight that we had, was roughly around 85% of the users who were coming onto our platform even then were primarily mothers, right? So we were 3 dads trying to run this service, but unfortunately, I think the dads were not searching enough about what to do with their children. It was the moms who were doing that at that point in time. And when we opened up the service for people to start sharing experiences, it took a life of its own, right? And I remember, when we started off in the original platform, My City for Kids, there was a small thing where people were writing. It was called Parenting Stop at that point in time. And then, when more and more people started writing, we put it onto social. We got a lot more people reading it. And then a lot more people then coming in from there and starting to write out here. I think we were one of the first, content platforms in the country which actually opened up in multiple languages. I think right after Daily Hunt, I would think that we were the second people who actually, brought out regional language content. And this was content that was actually being written in the language. It wasn't translations at all. Even till date, actually, we do not do any kind of translations of content per se. Everything is in terms of content that's created in the language, right? And that's how Mob Espresso, in terms of a platform came about. This was in early 2017 that the entire user-generated content platform took a life of its own. We rechristened ourselves Mob Espresso. This was in early 2017. And then expanded to more and more languages. So now we are a content platform that's in 10 different languages. We also have multiple formats. So we started only with long form blogs, which were more than 1,200 words. But now we do have short form content in terms of 100-word stories and quotes. We also have vlogs, which are possibly one of the faster growing content formats on the platform right now. And last year, we went out there and we said that, so the purpose of the company has been primarily to inspire the woman in every mom, right? That's been our purpose as such. And what we did was the content platform is basically providing them an ability to communicate, share experiences, and inspire them in one way. On the other side, last year we launched a platform called Mob Espresso My Money, which helps moms participate in brand campaigns and also be able to earn money of different tasks that they do for these brands. So as of now, these are the 2 primary products that we've got. One is on the content end and one is on the marketing side, where we are basically trying to create a word-of-mouth marketing platform at scale.
Excellent. In fact, what really inspires me is looking at your content. It's so diverse. I mean, it covers pretty much the entire life cycle of a mother, right? So you've even covered health, wellness, baby blues, right? So it's really exciting content. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yes.
Ankit this side, Asif and Manisha, if I can take one. So very interesting to see how you have been operating, as you said, for 10, 11 years. A lot of things changing in the external world constantly, probably we went from a PC world to a mobile world and everything there. How were things at the back end, Asif? So if we were to ask you questions around what was really happening on the tech choices that you were making, so how have they evolved? Would you like to shed some light there?
Yeah, I think originally when we started off on the My City for Kids side, it was a heavy platform which was driven by search, right? That was the primary method by which people would find us. It was obviously also at an era where desktop was probably a lot more prevalent than the mobile was, and also at that point in time we actually had far fewer women on the internet than we do right now, right? So when we did start, we started on, our entire stack was on the AWS, platform. That's where we originally started. When we actually even pivoted onto Mob Espresso, the initial 1 year, we still were on the AWS platform. But then what we saw was there was a clear-cut movement of people who were accessing the platform onto the mobile, right? So as of now, when I speak, almost 98% of our content is consumed over the mobile. Desktop is extremely minimal. And even in terms of content creation, right? Again, 95% of our content is now created on using our mobile apps. Just 5% still remains on the desktop. We do not actually allow content creation on the mobile web. But yeah, mobile apps is what is being used primarily by a lot of the creators on the platform. And when we transitioned, I think movement then happened to the Google Cloud platform when we looked at scaling and opening up more, languages. When we started seeing an uptake in terms of scale happening, at that point in time, we made this decision to actually move on to the Google Cloud. And that's been like the kind of journey and the change that's happened on the back end. I can get a little more deeper into the fact that on the engineering side, possibly initially we were working with kind of very broad level services. We did have a microservices architecture to start with, but the services were at a broad level. Like I would say that the article creation was a one large service that existed. But as we move forward right now, when I look at it, we've broken it down into much smaller microservices. And then that's primarily something that's been required for us to look at, given the scale that we have achieved as of this point in time.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Asif, the way you summarize, what has worked for you. And I think the statistics that you talked about, like 98% of your content is being consumed on the mobiles, right? So it's really interesting. So I think I must thank you for choosing Google Cloud and Sears as your partners on this journey, because I know, like all others, you had choice. And I think one thing which I would like you to call out, especially for our viewers and listeners today, is that what are those top 2-3 things that influenced your decision, to choose Google Cloud over other options?
Okay. I think the top decision or the reason at that point in time clearly was the fact that, we were a kind of a bootstrapped, startup. We did receive our first round of funding, but cost per se was something that we were extremely, top of mind for us. And as we started to scale, we just saw that, our costs on AWS were shooting up at a much faster pace than we could, we really were comfortable with. And I think the most primary reason for us to actually look to move to Google Cloud at that point in time was the cost. The second, I would say, for instance, was the fact that we had a partner like Sears who was locally available. We are a Gurgaon-based company. Sears had an office that was close by, and they were extremely proactive in providing, a kind of a roadmap in terms of support and help to transition from the AWS platform onto GCP. That was the second thing, and in terms of support as well. I think that was the other area where, at that point in time, we were facing a bit of an issue with AWS in itself, and local support being provided by a local partner in that sense made a lot of sense for us. And I think third, last but not least, would probably be the entire ecosystem that the Google network provides, right? we were already using Firebase for sending out notifications. We were using Gmail as our enterprise Gmail. We were using Google Places, the API. And it just made sense to actually, and also when we looked at the partner network that you have, right, it was, again, there were products that we were using, and hence it made a lot more sense to actually bring everything under a singular kind of, even from an operational point of view, billing, to have a singular entity to work with, it makes a lot more operational sense. And that's the reason why we finally did decide to move to the GCP platform.
Thank you.
We appreciate. I think it's been an absolute pleasure, Asif, to see how Mob Espresso has also been evolving. And the last 4-5 years that we've been working together, every year it's new challenges. The media industry, as you said, it's genuinely tough. The user base, the user habits always keep changing. I'll probably like to allow you a little breather, and I'll ask a question to Manisha. Manisha, if I may ask, from your perspective, because you do have the vantage point to really see hundreds and thousands of customers that are using Google Cloud in different ways, what are the top things that come to your mind when somebody talks about how Google Cloud's making a difference to any digital platform out there? So I know it's a very broad question, but would you like to have something for the audience?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was very encouraged to hear what Asif just narrated about, their story. And I think they are sort of a benchmark for us, in terms of how they've leveraged Google, not just cloud, but also the larger ecosystem of Google, as a company. And I think, Ankit, that Google itself is born in a cloud company, right? And over the last couple of decades, we've gone through all the ups and downs of building the planet scale digital platforms. And we know the challenges, hence we have also championed to resolve some of those challenges, right? Now, the infrastructure that we have built, the lessons that we have learned, and the best practices that we have implemented are the same that we are offering to our customers today, right? Talking about, digital platforms like Mob Espresso, there are probably 3 things I would like to call out. I think for such platforms, this is what we have seen. Is that scale and unpredictable traffic or unpredictable workloads is one of the key challenges, right? So they need an intelligent infrastructure that can automatically scale up and down. So with features that we have in Google Cloud, such as right sizing and active assist, we not only help customers to plan for what they need today, but also automatically scale them up and down for, say, from 1,000 cores to 25,000 cores in a matter of less than 5 minutes, right? It really helps digital platforms like Mob Espresso to optimize on their cost. Like, Asif mentioned, that was his primary reason why they chose to be on Google Cloud. And also reduce the wasted cloud capacity. I think recently there was some study done which said that almost 18 billion of cloud capacity will be wasted, right? So it's very important. And I think it gets wasted because of idle resources or underutilized resources or over-provisioned resources, right? So that's really number 1. Number 2 is, I'm sure CTOs like Asif hate it when their engineering teams are spending time on migrations and infrastructure management, right? While they should be spending their time on innovating, building new products, improving their customer experience, quickly launching new features of their existing products, right? And that's where Kubernetes comes into picture, right? So I'm sure Asif will talk more about it, but Google's fully managed Kubernetes service allows platforms like theirs without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. In fact, recently we have launched something called GKE Autopilot, which takes it to the next level, right? Where the complete cluster is managed and you no longer have to really monitor the health of your nodes. And you don't even need to calculate the amount of capacity or compute capacity that your workloads require, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, in my mind, is data analytics and AI capabilities that we offer, right? And this is really something that Google is known for. So such as things like data flow, which is our fully managed enterprise ETL capability, which allows you to scale up and down even when the job is in process, right? BigQuery, which is our serverless data warehouse service where you pay only for the data queried. Plus it allows you to scale up from 1 GB to 100 petabytes instantly. Cloud Spanner, which is our fully managed global scale distributed database, which allows digital platforms like Mob Espresso to scale beyond their geographical boundaries. And lastly, I believe the biggest asset that digital platforms like Mob Espresso have is their data, right? Which nobody else has, none of their competitors have. And we augment that with our best-in-class, highest accuracy AI ML capabilities. So that's where we have Auto ML, where we have pre-built models on, whether it's about recommending right products to your users or processing your documents, or you can also offer your custom, models and train it with your own data and truly democratize, the power of AI. So I think these are a few things which we have seen, while working with a lot of digital platform companies. I think with all that background on Google Cloud, in fact, I want to ask Asif, you have been serving a huge customer base, right, Asif? And I think you have millions of active users every month, that's increasing as well.
Yeah.
How do you think, Google Cloud has come handy in your growth, as you grow more users?
I think, Manisha, you've actually called out a couple of the products that have really helped us, right? Clearly, I mean, in terms of the user base, we get close to around 30 million unique moms visiting our platform on an annual basis. And this has basically grown like over 4 times in the last 4 years. And Kubernetes is clearly something that, now the engineering team internally out here swears by, because it's really helped us bring about, this whole ability to scale. Right, and also, from a DevOps perspective, it just reduces the amount of effort that people need to be involved with. Right, so we've been able to. Not all our workloads are on Kubernetes as yet, but the fact of the matter is we are clearly on that path. We already have more than 50% of our workloads utilizing Kubernetes. Right, so that's one of the things, and I think second thing is, we were already using, from a content, perspective, we were using Google's AutoML, for tagging of content, which helps us in then serving the right kind of content to the consumers who are coming on the platform. Also, internally, for us to build certain amount of insights with regard to whatever content is being written on the platform as well, we are using this, this particular, feature as well. Additionally, like the different services that existed, right? We have Places is something that I've already mentioned before, right? And beyond this, I think BigQuery is currently again used heavily within the organization, purely from the perspective that for all the creators, we need to provide enough and more different cuts and slices of data for them, so that they are aware of how they are performing on the platform. Because ideally, at the end of the day, a lot of people who write on Mob Espresso, the one of the biggest things for them is one is just sharing their experience, but secondly, we do have creators who are very keen to understand how they are performing, right? How many people are looking at or reading their content? How many people are? How much time are they spending on each piece of content of theirs? How is their content being received, and so on, right? And we have an algorithm that ranks creators basis different kind of engagement that they have, and a lot of these creators are quite keen observers of that. So providing the analytics for the creators so that they get an idea in terms of how their posts have been performing and so on. These are things that we clearly use BigQuery for. We also use it for internal management reporting as well, very heavily, primarily to keep track of some of the North Star metric that we track internally for both the My Money product as well as the Mob Espresso product.
That's really good. I think it's great to hear. And like I said earlier, that yours is really a benchmark, offering for us, because you've really leveraged not just the Google Cloud offerings, but also the right selection of partners, right? And that brings me to the next question. I think it's the combination of Mob Espresso with Sears and Google Cloud as all of them as an offering as well as a consulting partner, which seems to be working well, in this case. And I know Sears is a great team. Ankit is a great person to work with. I know you've been engaged with Sears for several years. So how has Sears been, as a partner for you, and how have they helped you shape up this journey on cloud?
So I think the initial transition when we moved from AWS to GCP, that was a place where Sears came in real handy. They obviously had the expertise that was available. They helped us a lot with the automation of the movement, for a lot of the products that we were using on AWS to move them onto the Google Cloud. That was one aspect where we utilized their services heavily. The second bit of it, I think, was primarily in terms of support, like I mentioned before, being locally available. There were a couple of instances where we've called upon them, and the turnaround has been absolutely fantastic, right? So I think the early part of this year, actually, we had this whole an issue with our domain, and our domain outage. I think this domain outage bit of it seems to be like happening every 3 months with different domains out there. But we had a kind of an issue with our domain, and Sears was absolutely aware of the criticality of the issue, and they helped along with Google sort this out for us in 12 hours time, right? And I think that is something that for us was extremely critical, because this was like the first outage that we've had in that sense, right? In the recent past, again, for me, I've seen that the interactions obviously have been moving from moving more towards a proactive kind of involvement, where Sears has helped us look at our deployments, look at our costing that exists, and help us optimize some of those, and also come up with different ways in terms of having architecture discussions with us to help see if there are scope for us to re-architect some of the solutions that we have. I think that is something that has started off, especially now with the engagement getting deeper. We've been working with each other now for 4 years, so I think the teams also understand each other a lot more. So I think that's the other. It's a positive for me that I see. I am actually one of the, I think, happy customers having worked with Sears and Google.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with what you said. And, we have had the same experience of working with Sears team globally, not just in India. And I think what we all love about Sears is their customer centricity, as you said, customer comes first. Anything to do with customer, that has to be resolved. And customer is always right, as we say that. The second thing is the flexibility to adapt, if there are changes in requirements or changes in business demands, I think adapting themselves to the changes. And the third thing is stepping up to embrace new challenges. It's not just BAU, every time Hardik, Ankit, they're always thinking about what more can we take up, right, as a company, and how can we elevate our contribution. So I think that's really great. So thank you so much, Ankit, for that as well.
Yes.
So look, great. I think all this is really good. And as I said in the beginning, Asif, you've made a huge impact on society with your venture. And I personally believe such missions succeed only when you are really passionate about the underlying cause, right? And by the way, as you said, I've been a user of Mob Espresso since you were called My City for Kids. And I always wondered, who are those brilliant minds behind it, and who have thought about this idea. So really, thank you for all your efforts. So probably my last question to you, Asif, now, as a co-founder, how do you see Mob Espresso evolve in the coming years? What sort of growth are you looking at? What kind of impact are you seeking to deliver?
Right. So I think, one thing that sticks with us at Mob Espresso is the fact that we've managed to actually break the barrier for women to actually have a voice. I think digitally, I would urge people to actually look at or read some of the stories that are written. There are very, very personal stories, which talk about, things that were possibly never spoken about in the open in our country before. And, there are stories regarding miscarriage. There are stories regarding relationships. There are stories regarding, divorce, relationships not working out, relationships working out great, in-laws, and so on, right? So I think the whole idea, though, is, now that we've managed to break this barrier, and it is actually across regions, because we've also opened up the barrier in terms of language, right? The idea would be, how can we scale this up more, right? I think we are clearly looking at trying to look at multiple content formats as we move forward. So we do have textual and video content as of now. Audio is something that we would probably look at in the near future, primarily to break the entire literacy barrier in that sense. We will also look to expand into more languages. We currently have 10 languages that Mob Espresso is available in. We will look to add on more languages as we move forward. And on the other end, now that we've opened up the product for My Money, called My Money, which is where moms can earn by participating in brand campaigns, the idea is to, again, scale that up a lot more than we are as of this point in time. We have probably around 150,000 mothers who are registered on My Money who actively participate in these brand campaigns. The idea is to continuously scale that up, and possibly in the next 3 years, we would like to have be at a place where we've managed to get more than 5 million mums to earn from the platform. That's possibly where we want to go. And our belief is that if this were to happen, I think there would be actually material change that we will see in society in India that will come about when we are able to actually empower the women, both from a perspective of being able to share their voice, as well as being able to become financially independent in some which way. Then I think there would be like a lasting change that will come about in society as well.
No, I think it's really very exciting and encouraging, and I think the fact that you've made it available in multiple languages, and we know that 25% of internet users are still in rural areas, right? So, and when you say 98% of your content is being used on mobile, we definitely know that it's reaching those tier 2, tier 3 cities also, right? And yes, because you won't find a laptop in every household there, but you will find a mobile, right? So I think that's really a great vision, and I think that's where your vision resonates very well with our vision, because as you know, Google Cloud or Google in general also strives to make every offering available to every user, in this world. So thank you so much, Asif. I think thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, Ankit, please.
Yeah, I had some follow-up questions, Asif, because you did mention that you will be able to kind of touch several more chords. So when the business looks at the technology available today that you and your team have built, are you guys feeling more confident about, let's say, seizing more opportunities? I think there were some talks of being the vehicle for a lot of D2C brands. So is the business now more confident with the tech platforms that you have created? Are you still tech-enabled company, or are you tech company? How does it really get defined inside?
Yeah, I think the content aspect of the platform is primarily a tech-enabled platform. Tech is enabler out there, whereas the My Money platform is a kind of tech-first platform. Because what we have there is actually when moms register on the platform, we try and build very deep profiles or personas of the moms, because they share a lot of information with us. They connect their social accounts with us and so on. And then when brands come up to us with requirements of different campaigns that they have, where they would like a certain type of mom to participate in those campaigns, we have the machine learning algorithms that match the right mom to the right campaign, kind of thing, right? So that's it's a very tech first kind of a platform in that sense. And it was originally, again, a part of the Mob Espresso app. We just had a single app, but now early part of this year in April, we actually split it up. So now we have a separate app called Mob Espresso My Money, which is purely only from the perspective of having moms participate in campaigns and earn money, right? And that is actually for us the vehicle of growth as we move forward, because that's also primarily where we make money, right? That's our business model. Our business model is that we are a marketplace. We are connecting moms to the brands out there, right? And then hence trying to find the right mom to connect with the right brand is of essence. So data in that sense, and the capabilities that the current tech stack provides us we are pretty confident that we should be able to scale this quite quickly. We've actually seen this business grow quite fast this year in itself, just purely in terms of revenue. We have already hit in 6 months the revenue that we did on My Money last year. For the full year, we've already hit that in the first 6 months of this year. So I would say that probably 150% growth on just the My Money offering that we've got.
That's very nice to hear. All the extra money probably is Mob Espresso building a metaverse or something in the coming years. We probably can start working on that then with you.
I think one bit of it that I'd like to also probably state out there is the fact that we don't speak about it enough, but at the end of the day, even though we might come across as a company that is probably driven from a social cause point of view by doing what we are doing. We are actually a profitable company. We have been a profitable digital company for the last 2 years, and this year as well, we will continue to be in profit, right? So I think what is of essence is the fact that businesses that do good need not necessarily be only non-profit. They can be for profit too.
We do a lot of sessions with tech startups. Asif and Manisha is leading a lot of those conversations. We don't hear these words too often, so it's a refreshing change, and we'll definitely like to wish the entire Mob Espresso team the very best. Great mission, and I'm sure you'll succeed in all those.
Thank you.
With your permission, what I could also do, just to ensure that we are anchoring the conversation, I'll probably share my screen for the next 5-6 minutes, and we'll talk a little bit about what Sears is essentially bringing to the market and how we work with a lot of our clients. So if I'm allowed, I'll just bring up my screen. And for everybody, please do continue to hold your question, put down your questions for Asif and Manisha, and we'll definitely take those in a few minutes. So the power of Google Docs, I did make some last minute changes. So because Asif called himself Vin Diesel, so I definitely wanted to ensure that it gets recorded and it's known that we had this fireside chat with Manisha and Vin Diesel of Mob Espresso. Yes, I do think both of you did allude to this, and the fact that Mob Espresso is on a mission to empower mothers, and Google is, it's definitely seemed to us like it will be the nicest marriage there, if I can put it that way. Sears is a tech consulting company. We work with Google Cloud for almost a lot of cases, but we also do have to make reasonable consulting choices for different customers based on the criteria that they set for us. And in all of Sears' evaluations, it was definitely clear that Mob Espresso would be very, very happy and satisfied in the Google ecosystem, so as to speak. We have actually now also published this case study. So in case you go to Google Cloud and search Google Cloud Mob Espresso, you will find this case study that has been published internationally. For sure, it starts with a lot of those tech components on whether big data platform would be, would be the right platform on GCP. Would we be looking at some kind of a cloud armor solution? A lot of conversations definitely start from a tech standpoint, because that's where the value is created, but it is realized when our users, and in this case it's the women every day that Mob Espresso calls it, when they begin to start experiencing something fresh, something more relevant. I think Asif mentioned this, and the fact that the cost stopped to scale linearly as the user base was growing was one of the core missions that we were out to ensure, that the platform remains profitable and the economics continues to work. And for sure, you'd never compromise on the privacy of the user data, the security of the platform, or the performance that the user kind of demands today or kind of expects from every single application. At Sears, we've kind of collected a lot of battle scars, as we call it, and we always appreciate folks like Asif who know that there will be always an evolving tech stack. There'll always be new solutions. There'll always be beta products, and we gather those battle scars by working with more than 3,000 clients. It's a pretty large army of people that is now dedicated to cloud, big data, and applied AI solutions. And by doing this consistently over the last several years, we've been recognized consistently for the efforts as well. And the real love comes when we are able to work with a wide variety of clients. So, Mob Espresso is an interesting case. I did not know whether to put them under the user generated content. There are a lot of social apps like Trell these days. There are also a lot of publishing houses like Dainik Bhaskar. So, media is always evolving. Media is always trying to ensure that when the industry is always trying to capture where the user is, and as they have varied needs, Google, which itself is a pretty dominant media company, keeps creating great tech stack. And right from Scoop Whoop to Dainik Bhaskar from the traditional side, to Glance, which kind of occupies the front screens of our mobile phones, to InShots in the news front, OTT platforms like Trell, we definitely see a lot of these players adopting Google Cloud, and Sears has been trying to ensure that we can add value through our constant interactions. And now you might quickly ask, what is the value? So the value is often in trying to stitch the whole story together. Um, Individually, whether it is for your internal workings inside an organization with the Google Workspace solutions, or what we kind of spent a lot of time today on the infrastructure modernization pieces, the cloud managed services, the data and ML applications. Also, I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of companies that use the location intelligence features. We try to ensure that the client that's typically starting with a particular business problem can figure out the leanest way to achieve those business results without having to spend 6 months doing a POC and 3 years doing a deployment, because we now need to work in weeks, if not days or hours, to get a new version of the app out. From Sears perspective, we have worked with very young companies. We have not yet started working with people in their dorm rooms, but that's the agenda for us for next year, because we really now know that all innovation is happening in India in perhaps hostel rooms. But we definitely think that as the company scales, the requirements change over a period of time. There are, I mean, you definitely need uh, to have architects involved. You want to have the financial consultants and cloud economists involved. You'd like to have the business consulting teams involved. And of course, all this needs to be stitched with some very thorough technical account management, where we also try to see if there are other ways of partnering. We are yet to find the nicest way that Sears and Mob Espresso needs to partner, because it does so happen that our target audiences are quite different at this point of time. But and this is my last slide, we are definitely keen that we get a chance to work with a lot of different organizations, and we also always believe that we learn a lot from our clients. It's not that we offer value to our clients. In fact, we mostly learn from our clients, and that's the kind of network of cloud technologists that we have created. Please do read about our work on medium.com/shares. And if there's anything, please feel free to get in touch with me. And with those few slides, I'm kind of done my presentation bit. And I would like to invite the ETCIO team, Ria, to come back and let us know about the remainder few minutes. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, all of you, for all the speakers, for this such insightful fireside chat that we just had. I'm sure it was all beneficial for all our audience out there. Beginning with the questions, Asif, there are a lot of questions directed towards you and a lot about security and privacy. So I'm going to mix up the questions that talk about security. And the question says, Being a platform, an online platform for mothers, the security aspect of the platform would be utmost importance to you. How well is GCP supporting you on that front? And if you can also answer the question on privacy front or the user data privacy.
Yeah. So we use Cloud Armor, clearly. That's one of the products of the GCP suite that we are utilizing. We also have, in terms of access to data, the firewalls that we have maintained clearly are, in a way that there is no access available from outside of the network. And in terms of data storage, all personally identifiable data in any case is encrypted. For us, we do not have personally identifiable data that is available. In terms of access for data, even within the team, after we've moved most of our services, our workloads onto Kubernetes, it's purely just the DevOps team which ideally has access to servers. The developers have pretty much zero access. They don't even know which server anything is going up on as such. Beyond that, I think security is an evolving business, right? Every day there is something new that keeps coming up. I think the good thing though is the fact that things at a company like Google, they continuously keep updating things at their own end as well to ensure that if there are any threats, they are obviously taken care of. We also have a complete DDoS, to ensure that there is no DDoS attacks. We have an implementation that has been done as well. So I think these are measures that we take clearly. And in terms of privacy of data, there is nothing that is shared with any of the brands that we work with. Right? Again, the fact of the matter is there is no sharing of data that we do with brands. Which is possibly one of the reasons why Ankit had alluded to it earlier, but a lot of the new age D2C companies, are now starting to work with us primarily because this is an audience that is of interest to them, and addressing this audience or reaching this audience, say through other social media platforms, as it keeps getting more expensive. I think we are becoming an absolutely important alternate for them. And the thing is, though, that we do not share any of the private information or any of the information actually with regard to our users to any of the brands that we work with.
So, Asif, if I may just add to that, I think from a cloud perspective, I just want to add that Google owning its own network, right? I think that adds to a lot of security because the exposure of users' data to the public internet is very, very minimal, right? Mm-hmm. And Google taking ownership of the data center components, we building our own servers, right? So all that adds to it. And I think we are the only cloud provider where we encrypt data by default. We don't have to buy any additional services or pay anything extra for that. So I think with that and whatever measures Asif and team have taken on top of that, I think it's perfectly secure.
Sure. Manisha, the next question is for you, and the attendee wants to ask, how did Google ecosystem help the digital world in the pandemic time?
Oh, we did a lot of stuff. So I think there's a long answer to that. So I think the biggest benefit I think that users and companies have gotten from Google is with our Google Workspace portfolio, the Google Workspace suite, which includes the productivity and collaboration tools, because that was the need of the hour, right? Because everything went virtual and people who were used to being in front of their desktops and in front of their, colleagues and all of a sudden they had to work from low connectivity, devices. Some people were only using their mobiles to connect. So I think, and that's what I've really been pleasantly surprised when I connect on Google Meet, for example. Today we are, having this session on Google Meet. Even if you connect to it from your simple mobile, 4G connectivity, you get the same experience as you would get from a very high, 5G kind of a network. So I think Google Workspace of the Gmail being accessible, the Meet like collaboration tools being available, the Drive kind of tools being available, where you can collaborate with your employees so quickly, like Ankit just mentioned. You don't have to. I mean, we have forgotten about saving anything on our laptops. Everything is on the cloud, and we we are able to collaborate so well. So I think that was really a big enabler, especially in the times of pandemic. Other thing where a lot of enterprise customers reached out to us was they wanted their employees to be able to access their enterprise applications from anywhere, and that's where I think we came up with these offerings like Beyond Corp, right, where we offer sort of a identity aware proxy system, where not just based on their IP addresses and all, but also their location. So based on a number of factors, you can allow a user to access a particular application. So that gave a lot more flexibility to the enterprises, because of which they were able to seamlessly operate. They had a little bit less impact as a result of pandemic. So, and then we did a lot of other stuff in terms of launching those COVID awareness applications. I think COVID related information that you saw on Google search, all that was a part of the contribution that we made as a part of that.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Ankit, the next question is directed towards you. And the question says, what were the challenges faced by Sears as an organization while you were working with Mob Espresso?
No, I don't think there were challenges. That will be an odd thing to say. I guess what's the general mission at Sears is that we should try to be as invisible as possible, because if the client continuously needs the services of Sears and our engineers, that means that we have not set things right. So unlike traditional SI models in the tech industry, in which you want to staff engineers and you want to keep your people in front of the client, we obviously would like to automate the heck out of everything, whether it is the data pipelines, whether it is the code pipelines, so that the client does not really need to get in touch with us all the time. We obviously, and because Asif's in the call, so I can obviously talk about it openly. If there are clients who are transparent about their roadmap, they are willing to share things that they are up to, that is obviously lovely. And that's why Mob Espresso and us, we partner well together, because the team at Mob Espresso is able to tell us what they're keen to do in the coming years. And accordingly, we can obviously line up resources, prepare well. I don't think we have had challenges. Yes, Asif mentioned that there are DNS challenges, but that all great companies seem to have. That's the fashion statement these days. I would say that the question should be more to Asif as to what are the challenges that he faces with GCP product lines, and what are the services missing, and what is where we need to upskill ourselves. But it's been an absolute delight to work with Asif and the team. Thank you.
I'm sure. Asif, the next question again is directed towards you. And the question says that you have mentioned while you were speaking that you moved out of AWS to GCP for cost optimization. But was the migration challenging for you? Were your team's bandwidth occupied totally in the change management? Was it feasible for you?
Yeah, so obviously it was feasible, because we have now moved.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think, like I mentioned, I think one of the good things about the movement at that point in time was the support that we got from the team at Sears, right? We actually put out a complete roadmap in terms of how we would go about moving, each of the products of AWS and the equivalent products onto GCP. We still do have one, large piece which still continues to be on AWS though, which is the DynamoDB database that we use on AWS. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find an equivalent as yet on GCP. And the idea though would be that hopefully, in the coming year, we would probably have a product that will be available within GCP that should help us move even that piece onto the GCP platform. But in terms of an exercise, I think it's clear if somebody is able to go out there, clearly put on a plan to it, you need to be able to list out all the different products and services that you're using of your current provider or current platform, and then be able to map out how you would make the move, right? The good thing was, again, with a partner like Sears, we were able to actually list out the move. I think it took us in all possibly a period of around 3 months. over which we actually moved all the services that we would want to move out of AWS onto GCP. Yes, for a team that was bootstrapped, which was short of resources, it required us to actually set aside. We did have probably a 2-month period where pretty much the entire team out here was working on ensuring that the move was successful.
Sure. Manisha, would you like to add on to that? How does GCP support companies out there in their migration journey in this change management?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a lot of tools which are available which facilitate this migration. And I think that's where we also, like Ankit mentioned, we rely a lot on our partners, right? So we, with the partners like Sears, we have a methodology that we have defined, right? So depending upon where the customer is today versus where they want to be, again, not one size won't fit all, right? So we have various scenarios, and based on that, we have recommended, migration best practices as well as the tools, that can be used. And of course, I think it's all about, especially in the first or second migration, we provide a very high touch, engagement to our customers along with the partners, making sure it happens smoothly. So yeah, I mean, if anybody has faced any challenges, please feel free to bring it to us, and maybe Ankit and the Sears team will be happy to help you with that.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Quickly taking one last question, seeing the clock turning by. Asif, again, one question directed towards you. Would you rather prefer a single cloud or a multi-cloud stack, and why? If you could just keep it brief.
Okay. Short, sweet answer. I think I would like to keep it as a single cloud, purely because I think one of the primary reasons is if most of our products that we use are on a single network, for us at least it makes a lot more difference. It requires it's faster in terms of being able to deliver content to our end consumers, as well as it also reduces costs because there is no cross I would say server across networks kind of calls that are happening. So yes, from our perspective, we would like to be a complete single cloud platform. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Ankit, for sharing your thoughts with us. And thank you, Asif, for sharing Mob Espresso journey with us. I'm equally grateful for all the attendees that have been with us throughout the 1 hour. Dear attendees, we are losing out on a few of the questions because of the interest of time. But please do reach out to us through any of our online and digital communication channels. We will always be happy to help. Thank you once again. And until next time, please stay connected and stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Thanks, Priya.
Thank
Bye.
you.